The Houston Texans have fired their head coach, David Culley. It's been already about a week or two almost since the firing. I'm a little late on it. Trying to get all these videos out on coach firings and stuff before these teams hire, their new head coaches. And I'm really glad I got out that Giants video about Joe Judge and when they fired him because they just hired a new head coach, but that's a video for later. The Texans, I knew I could wait on a little bit longer just because I knew they weren't going to hire a head coach right off the bat. But yes, the Houston Texans have fired David Culley after only one season as the head coach. He posted a record of 4-13 this past NFL season, and he won the same amount of games with Tyrod Taylor and rookie Davis Mills as his quarterbacks. And it was actually, I believe, the same record as the Houston Texans had before. The Houston Texans went 4-12 the previous season, and they went 4-13 this season, had the same amount of wins with a Tyrod Taylor and rookie Davis Mills finishing out the rest of the season, even though they had Deshaun Watson the year previous, which is actually kind of crazy. I'm not saying like it was Deshaun Watson's fault. There was a number of issues with the Texans the previous season before this one, and I don't think Watson was part of the reason why they lost. It was really just because of the culture and the way that the team was built around Watson. And like to this day, they still don't have a good offensive line, and that is still a major problem on this team. Well, one of the major problems. And a lot of people, including me when I first saw this, thought that this was a weird firing. Not as impactful as the Brian Flores firing, but I did think that after only one season, I felt like David Culley actually did a pretty good job for what he had to handle, what he dealt with during the season and the roster he was given. But as days have gone on, more reports have came out and stuff regarding the firing and all that. And before I get into that, I just want to say I thought David Culley did do a pretty decent job, like I said, for what he was handed, and other people felt the same way. And I felt like he was kind of cheated in a way. He was the only head coach. He was the only person that wanted to coach the Texans. He was pretty much the only guy that was taken for the Texans, because the Texans are still a very dysfunctional franchise. And if I'm a head coach or a person trying to get a head coaching job, I would not want to be a part of this organization. But David Culley took the job, and they fired him after 1 year. That just shows the loyalty of the Texans organization, that they are still not really the most loyal franchise in the NFL currently. They don't take care of their players and coaches. And also, David Culley is a really nice guy from what I've heard. He does his job correctly. He's a very nice guy. He gets along with a lot of players, and never really heard anything bad about him. And I think he even came out and said he was really sad about the issue when he got fired. It really sounded like he didn't see it coming at all personally on his side either. But essentially what the issue was, the Texans organization came out and said their side, essentially why they felt like they had to fire him. Essentially, the Houston Texans wanted David Culley to be more open to making staffing changes. From what rumors say, or what the Texans say, is that it was they had differences with each other. The head coach, David Culley, and the Houston Texans ownership had differences on what to do, essentially. They wanted him to make staffing changes, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Tim Culley, who was eventually fired, along with David Culley, had the 32nd ranked offense in the league, which is obviously the worst. They wanted him to take a look at that and evaluate it and say that changes need to be made, and he did not want to do that. And not just that, but they also said there were other issues, in-game issues, disciplinary, I can't even speak English, but disciplinary issues. There we go. Disciplinary issues. There we go. I'm getting better at English. But from what is understood, the philosophical issues were probably as much as anything. Pretty much there were just several issues regarding the head coach and the ownership of the Texans. And it was just more inside issues, and I guess also in-game issues. I don't know specifically what the problem was. The Texans didn't really go into deep about what the issues were, but essentially they were just not on the same page. It was kind of the same situation as Brian Flores with the Dolphins. Both of the coaches did not see eye to eye with the ownership and franchises that they were a part of. And the issue with that is that's why most likely both of these coaches got fired at this point, because you can't have a head coach essentially be disagreeing with what you want to do with your team. At the end of the day, it's still ownership, and ownership oversees all the decisions. And they felt like that, essentially the Dolphins and Texans both felt like that they were not on the same page. The head coach and the ownership weren't. So that's why they fired. And personally with me, I get where the ownerships are coming from, but if I were the Dolphins and the Texans, I would be more free for the head coach. I think the Texans are actually more controlling. I think they're probably the most controlling franchise in this league, and whatever they say goes. And I mean, that's they pretty much, you do whatever they tell you to do. If you don't follow up on what they tell you to do, they will fire you, because they believe that they know everything. They know the game, even though they're not the ones out there coaching the team. But besides that, I think David Culley from this time, I think the cool thing about this is that he probably learned a lot being a head coach just for 1 year and got to get the feel about it. I think he should go back to not being a head coach right off the bat, but maybe a coordinator of some kind, or join somebody's coaching staff so he can get a little bit more experience. I think he became a head coach too soon, but I think he actually did pretty decent for what he was handed for his first year head coaching job. So I hope he gets to go and get picked up by a coaching staff and help lead a team to the playoffs and help out a team. Maybe he could become more like of a defensive coordinator, who knows. He seems more like a defensive-minded type guy, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone hired him for the defensive coordinator job. I think he would do pretty well as a DC. But other than that, I mean, this really the bottom line is the Texans organization is awful, and they are still to this day the worst organization in the NFL. You can't trust them, man, no matter what. I mean, like I said, if I'm a person looking for a head coaching job, I would do anything not to be a Texans head coach. That's just because the ownership and the culture that they've built over there, they are the type of people that you just can't trust at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If I left anything out, let me know. If you guys have any opinions of your own, go ahead and comment below. I'd really appreciate it. And I appreciate all your guys' support. And I will see you all next time. Peace.